Okay, so I'm Padmadarshini. It's the fourth week of our lockdown in the UK, and this is going to be a movement practice. We're going to be standing up, doing it in the vertical alignment rather than on the floor today, and then we're going to finish with a good long rest lying down at the end. Okay, so we're going to start off by just standing your feet about hip width apart, comfortably. Let your knees be a little bit bent, and we're going to start with a bit of do-in, or what I call self-massage. So to begin this, you're just going to start to rub your hands. Yeah. Like you're having a wash, which you're all very familiar with. So when I do this, I'm going to be using my hands to tap my whole body. You can use a fist, or you can use a flat hand. A fist or a flat hand, and I tend to alternate a bit. Either's fine, but the main thing is I want to keep my wrists relaxed. So I'm just going to give my hands a little shake. I haven't got a chair here, but if it's difficult bending down to your legs, you could do it one leg at a time on a chair. So what we're going to do is we're going to start, I've got my knees bent, I'm going to start to tap up the front of my legs. And then down the backs of my legs. Up the front. And then down the backs of my legs. Make a nice tapping sound. Maybe one more. I'm going to widen my feet a little bit, and I'm going to tap up the insides of my legs and then down the outsides. So up the insides, down the outsides. Okay, and then I'm just going to stroke my legs. Like you're brushing off tiredness, tension, old energy. Okay, see if you can give your legs a little shake. A bit difficult to see, but give your little legs a little shake. You can take your weight on one foot and shake one leg. And then I'm going to take my weight on the other foot, shake out the other leg. If you've got a wall to hand, you can use the wall. Okay, I'm going to do my arms. So I'm going to tap up the insides of my arms. And then down the outsides. So up the insides, much as you can get into your shoulder. And then down the backs of the arms. And when I get to my wrist again, I'm just going to stroke it off, sweeping, brushing. Be quite energetic this. Give your arm a shake. Okay, and then I'm going to my second arm, so I'm going up, starting at the palm, up the inside, around the shoulder as far as I can reach, and then down the outside. And then next time I get down to my wrist, I'm going to go into just sweeping it off. That arm a shake. I'm going to both arms a shake. Okay, I'm going to come up this side. I'm going to start at the heel, the outsides of my hips. I'm going to tap, and then you can come up to the sides. This is really nice. You can give it a bit of sound. So I'm going to include the chest and then down the sides. Make a bit of sound. If you're not joining me, consider joining me. Good for the lungs. Oh. And then I'm going to stroke. Give my arms a little shake. I'm going to do my belly. I'm going to start at the bottom and go up the right side, under my ribs and down the left. So I'm not tapping here. I'm actually just going to kind of, it's a fairly firm, smooth stroking action. This is the way, we go this way because it's the way our intestines go. Okay, and then I'm just going to have a little shake out. Let's just finish doing it with our bum. So you can be quite firm here. You can bend your knees a little bit. That's your bum. Wiggle your hips a bit if you want. And give your bum a little squeeze and a rub. If you can, see if you can get your bum shaking a little bit. That can come through your whole body. Okay, so with a little bit of a beginning there, we're going to bring our awareness down into our feet, and the image I'm going to offer us is to imagine that we're treading on grapes. Now, I've never actually trodden on grapes myself, but you're going to imagine that you're pressing grapes with your feet as you step. So I'll step back so you can see me. So I'm just going to start to put my weight down through one foot and the next. I'm moving around a little bit, giving weight. See if you can really connect with that image of grapes. Quite nice. Pressing your weight, it'll be shifting from one foot to the other. I'm gonna just see how my breath wants to join the movement. So it might be nice to breathe out, even breathe out through your mouth as you put weight down. These grapes might be quite thick-skinned. Yeah, they might be quite tough grapes. So we're really coming into our feet, the contact our feet make with the ground. You can roll from your heel to the toes or the ball of the foot. So really get into your feet, stamping, treading these grapes, pressing the juice out. Imagine your energy, your awareness really coming down into your contact with the ground. So there's a quality of yielding weight, giving weight as we step, as we tread. Giving it your breath as well. Okay, and then just come to stand with your feet underneath your hips. I've got my knees a little bit bent, and I'm standing with my feet under my hips, my arms hanging by my side. Just pausing for a moment. Feel your feet on the ground, feet spreading the entire surface of our feet on the ground. Feel yourself here arriving, your breath, your body, however you are today. So the next little image I have for us is to imagine you've got a water bottle and you're shaking it. If you could imagine that, you're shaking a bottle of water. So our body is the bottle. the contents, we could say, are the water. So it's going to look like this, a little bounce from my feet. It can be quite gentle, could be very energetic, see what you need, and it is bouncing. You're letting your whole body be gently shaken like a water bottle. Let your arms hang freely. The movement might lift your shoulders a little bit. Shake your wrists, shake your hands. Try breathing out through your mouth. In through your nose. Lengthen the exhale. Give it some sound. Keep going a little bit longer. So if you've got energy, if you're feeling quite energetic and your knees and ankles are fine, you can start to let your heels lift a little bit. So I'm just slightly lifting my heels as I bounce. So it's a little bit more dynamic and energetic. And if you're feeling really energetic, you can actually just have a little jump. Landing with soft knees. Giving it your breath. And then just to your heels. And then just back to the plain old water bottle. And then let that movement subside. And pause again. We can feel the energy, the vibration, the pulsing, tingling from all of that jiggling. Very good. Jiggling is very good. It's for releasing, sort of discharging the chemicals and hormones that come in our body when our nervous system is active, when we're in fight or flight mode. So jiggling and shaking is what animals do. Okay, we're going to plant our feet under our hips and we're going to bring awareness to our pelvis. So I'm actually just going to invite you to kind of find your pelvis with your hands. Use your hands to locate your pelvis. So you can feel where your pelvis is, find the bones of your pelvis. I'm going to come a bit closer. You miss my legs, but you can see my pelvis. And the movement I'm going to do is keeping my feet on the spot. I'm just going to start to circle my pelvis and my hips. So the middle of my body starting to circle. Yeah. My knees, I'm keeping them a little bit bent. So a little bit soft in my knees and my pelvis. A bit like stirring porridge. Around, smooth, fluid movements. And you can feel the movement, your belly, a bit into your lower back, your tailbone, the whole central hub of the body is circling. See if you can change direction. Simply start to stir your porridge the other way around. Okay, and then just coming back to stillness. We're going to bring our awareness to, I'm going to go to my right side. You could do the other, but you could just come with me on the right. And I'm going to draw a circle just around my right hip, the right side of my pelvis. So I'm leaning my weight a little bit out to that right side. Of course, your whole pelvis will be moving because everything's attached, but my focus, my intention is to do a circle around my right hip. Okay, I'm going to pass it over to my left hip and I'm going to draw a circle around just around my left hip. It could feel more easier or a little awkward on one side. I'm going to pass it back to my right hip, circling around my right hip. And then back to my left hip. Let's see if we can make a figure of 8. So you're going round your right hip and then pass it over to your left hip. So you're drawing a figure of 8 with your hips and your pelvis. So it can be a really nice kind of movement for getting us to come into the centre of our bodies. So my awareness is primarily in my hips and my pelvis and my belly. But of course, other parts of the body are moving. Seeing how that is. I've got my eyes, I could close my eyes, or I can just keep them open, but really soft. Nice image is to imagine your eyes are anchored in your tailbone, in the base of your spine, in your pelvis. See if you can change direction. Notice how your shoulders are probably moving with it, even though our focus is in the middle of our body. The movement is actually coming through our whole body. Okay, imagine this figure of 8 is getting smaller and smaller. Like you're going to make it a smaller and smaller movement until it comes right back into your centre. And the movement gets less and less. And then once you've got all the way back, so the figure 8 is a tiny little movement around the kind of central point just below your belly button. And let your eyes close. And pause there. Feeling your body, breath, feet on the ground. So we started in our feet, we've come up to our pelvis. We're going to come up to our chest and shoulders area. So let's just start by walking our shoulders. We're walking them or rolling them back. So I'm just letting my arms hang by my sides. I'm letting my torso, it'll swing forwards and backs to some extent. Just noticing here my breath, however my breath wants to be with this. I'm going to go forwards, just see what that feels like to walk the shoulders forwards. Tend to collapse our chests, many of us, so I tend to not do so much forwards and to go backwards again, because this counters our tendency to collapse in the chest. Really walking my shoulders and shoulder blades back. So if you're working with a challenge anywhere, just really taking care. If you've got an injury or vulnerability in either shoulder, just really listen to what feels okay for your body. Okay, I'm just going to come back to my water bottle, have a little bounce there. Sighing out on my breath out. And come back to my chest and going to imagine, there's another image for us, that you've got a ball and it's on the inside of your chest and you're going to roll this ball around. So it's not a big thing to see visually, but it's like on the inside, it could be like a tennis ball or a bit probably smaller. And I'm going to roll it round the interior of my ribs. So I'm rolling it around the back. It'll come to the side, to the armpit ribs, to the front, to the other side. I'm breathing. And we can be aware here, our breastbone, our ribs, deeper in the spine. So there's a lot of bony tissue here that protects our heart, protects our lungs, and the spine itself protects our spinal cord. There's a lot of bone movements. And it won't be a big movement, this. See if you can not have too much movement going on here. So you really think, can I isolate my chest and it's not all coming from my lumbar, my lower back? If it's feeling okay, keep going and see if you can turn the ball in the opposite direction. If that doesn't work for you, just stay with what does. Wow. So often this is an area of the body that it's quite difficult to really mobilize. Imagine this ball is now going to circle into the center of your chest. So spiral it in, center of your chest. So the movement will get smaller, closer to the core, until you find yourself back to stillness. Maybe close your eyes, pause again. Imagine your heart, your chest is over your pelvis is over your feet. These three centers, pelvis, heart, and our head, all in alignment. Let's stay with our shoulders. This movement, I'm going to turn my back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades towards each other and then let that go. So I'm squeezing my shoulder blades. That's going to bring my arms back, probably behind me a little bit, and then I let that go. The same thing, squeeze my shoulder blades, let that go. I'm going to let my chin slightly drop as I do that. Let's try adding in the other way. So I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades, and then I'm going to pull them apart. So you'll round forwards a little bit, and then I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades towards each other. And then I'm going to pull them apart. And if you let your arms do whatever they do, because they're connected so close to our shoulders and shoulder blades. Let's add in the breath. So I'm going to breathe in as I squeeze my shoulder blades towards each other, and breathe out through my mouth as I pull them apart. Squeezing in a few more times, and then breathing out. Some places where we can have a lot of tension. Okay, and then just let that go. Have just a little shake out, however your body wants to move from that. This next one is kind of opening through here. So the action I'm going to do, I've got my feet under my hips, and I'm just going to slide this arm up. I'm going to look down over my opposite little toe, yeah? And then I'm going to slide that arm down and slide the other one up. My left arm is up, I'm looking over my right little toe. Really feel how you're lengthening through one side of the body. So I hope you've got enough space above you. So this can go a little bit further, so see how you feel, because you can actually, I'm going to take this arm up, be like that. Just bend my knees so you can see, which is also quite nice. You could do it kneeling. So if you haven't got room above you and you're comfortable kneeling, you could actually come to kneeling. Yeah. And then if you want to add even a little bit more to this, imagine you're reaching out and pulling a rope, getting hold of a rope that you might be using to pull yourself up. So pulling on a rope, if that image works. Oh, so you really feel through the side body. You can really feel this. Oh, can be give it quite a lot of energy. Feet really planted. So keep going. If you need to stop, of course, you stop sooner. Show you from the back. Maybe one more each side if you're still with me. Okay. And then just shake it all out. So I'm going to do a little bit with my neck. So if you have got a challenge to your neck, just go really gently. This might be really good. I'm going to bring my awareness to the tip of my nose, and I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to draw a small spiral with the tip of my nose. I'm relaxing my tongue, my lips, breathing. And I'm slowly drawing a spiral and making it gradually bigger. At certain points, you might feel quick clicks and crunches in your neck. Once you've made the spiral as big as feels comfortable, then you spiral it back into the center. Imagine the center of your head poised over your shoulders, over your chest. Once you've come to the center, just pausing. Let's go the other way. So I'm going to start my spiral. I like to close my eyes for this, just really gives me that much more internal awareness. Our brain is an organ, like our heart is an organ, protected by this bony skull, very, very strong, hard protection for our brain. So then I'm going to spiral back in. Breath, I'm aware of my breath, of not holding my breath. And just once you get back to the very center of that spiral, pause. The very center of your head, over your heart over your pelvis supported by your legs and your feet. The earth supporting all three centers, head, heart, and belly. Finding our breath, just feeling ourselves here, how we are, how our body is, our energy. So, I think we're going to come back to our figure of eights movement. I really like this movement. We're going to start it in our feet and we're going to move up through our whole body. So you can have your feet under your hips. Move my feet out of the sunlight. And you're going to start drawing a figure of eight. Knees are soft. And imagine yours, I'm not picking up my feet, I'm just moving around, shifting the weight in a figure of eight. So really get into the sensations of your feet here on the ground. See if you can really follow the course, see and sense or feel where this figure of 8 is. And then once it feels really clear in your feet, notice how your knees are already participating. So you're not losing the connection to your feet, but you've got a bit more awareness now in your knees. And then we come up and we can notice how our pelvis too is finding this figure of 8. And we've already had this movement once. My knees are soft. I'm not locking my knees at all, ever. Imagine this movement now is walking up your spine. So you're going to walk it in your awareness, just it come up through your torso. Just gradually walking it up your spine. Up behind the heart, between your lungs, all the way up. Throughout, all the way up through the crown of your head. And still you're connected to your feet. And notice how your shoulders, both shoulders, are moving. In harmony with your hips, shoulders and hips. And we're going to add in one more piece, which is our arms. I'm going to invite you to, and it doesn't need to look the same as mine. I'm going to step back in a moment. Just invite you to find a way that your arms can join this figure of 8. It might be quite a small movement. Yeah, it might just be even just your hands to start with. So keeping your arms and your hands really connected to your chest, to your shoulders, finding, without losing the figure of 8 in your hips. See what your arms can bring to this. If you want to make it a really big movement with your arms, then absolutely, go for it. Inviting them to find their relationship to this figure of 8. Maybe you can get a sense of creating a bit of wind and air current through the movements of your arms. Then we're going to go gradually let our arms go. Keep the figure of 8 going. And make it gradually smaller. Gradually smaller. And we're going to reverse it. See if you can reverse the figure of 8. You could start in your hips, your pelvis. Send it down into your knees and your feet. It might feel a little bit odd, awkward in this new direction. Send it up your spine, into your shoulders, and again out into your arms. Notice how your breath is, sense of the air that you're moving, without losing the figure of 8. So the movement might be quite big, you might have a lot of energy, you might want to throw your arms around, it might be quite small. It could be a really small movement. So let's start to spiral it back in. You're going to start to make the movement gradually smaller, bringing your arms back in. Eventually the arms rest. You feel your feet, your knees, your pelvis, your shoulders. Very gradually make it a smaller and smaller movement, so you're bringing it to rest in the very center. Around, if you like, the kind of central channel around your vertical axes. Until you find yourself still. With the afterflow of sensation, awareness, tingling, vibration in your body. So, what we're going to do is we're going to come and lie down, make ourselves comfortable in some restful position. It could be sitting, could be lying, whatever feels right. So making the transition as easily and smoothly as you can. And coming to rest. Make yourself as warm, supported, comfortable as you can. Blanket over you if it's a little bit cool. Consider whether you want to put something under your legs. Actually, one thing is if you've got a sofa by you, lying and just putting the backs of your lower legs on a sofa with your legs at a right angle is a really nice position for your lower back. Any of you that are practicing in your living room or lounge with a sofa. So having settled yourself, just come back to the afterflow of sensation in your body from the movements we've done. Maybe if there's a little bit more kind of energy, aliveness, maybe a sense of feeling a bit more at ease, a bit more relaxed, maybe more in touch. So now we're just letting our weight rest into the ground. So as you breathe out, And you might want to breathe out through your mouth. Intentionally rest the weight of your whole body, your bones, the big bones of your pelvis, the bones of your shoulder girdle. Whatever part of your head is resting on something, bones of your skull. All the bones of your legs. Bones of your spine. All the small bones of your hands and feet. Most of our bones are in our hands and our feet. Lots of small, delicate bones that articulate with such dexterity. Releasing the earth element of your bones down towards the earth. Simply by being as present as you can. The more we can really inhabit our bodies with awareness, simply noticing sensation, weight, texture of our inner body. The more we can do that, the more we find ourselves able to naturally rest. And our thoughts will tend to quieten the more we can be present in our felt sensation in our bodies. Let this resting be infused with warmth, kindness, quality of care, tenderness. Let yourself be as you are. You don't have to be feeling okay or happy or anything in particular. So, I heard another poem today or yesterday, I think it was, which Tara Brach read at the end of one of her talks, which I really liked. So I'm going to read it. And it's obviously been written in the last few weeks in response to the situation we're in the world. So it's by Donna Folds. It takes a while. It takes a while. But I finally find the quiet place inside where I can embrace fear with love and not be hijacked by anxiety. In that space, connected and awake, I take a breath and feel my heart begin to open again. Instead of pushing away sadness and grief, I let it all be. This is meditation in the midst of a pandemic. This is how I regain my center many times a day now. But who's counting? What matters is finding my way back to intimacy with what is real and unchanging. So just letting ourselves as best we can in these moments here as we rest. Be intimate with what is real in our experience. Meeting that with awareness and care, kindness. If you find your mind drifts off into thinking, thoughts, stories, noticing that. Breathe out perhaps through your mouth. Feel your weight of your bones here on the earth. Maybe your thinking mind is pulling you away from something else that wants attention. How can you meet that something else? The hum perhaps of uncertainty and anxiety that pervades so widespread at the moment. Even if it's not in the foreground, we may be experiencing it in the background. So meeting whatever with care, awareness, kindness, over and over, coming back. So you may just want to stay where you are and block out the sound of my voice, or you might want to disturb yourselves. So it's coming out when you're ready.